It's Mario, of course it's that good. If there's one thing that Super Mario fans are really good at doing, it's waiting for the next one. Note that I said Super Mario, as in the mainline platforming Mario games, because Mario fans in general are eating pretty good right now, holy crap. But when it comes to the main Super Mario games, it's been a long history of waiting for the next one to come out. I mean, damn. Not counting re-releases, the last one was Mario Odyssey back in 2017. Then the one before that was Super Mario 3D World in 2013, which is already over a decade old now. If we're going to talk strictly 2D Mario, then the last one was New Super Mario Bros. U in 2012. 11 goddamn years ago. And I'm sorry, but I'm not counting the Mario Maker games. I was 13 when I played New Mario U for the first time, and now I'm in my mid-20s. So much life to go by without another 2D Mario game. But that's just how it is. Sure, after 2006 we had a steady string of new Super Mario Bros. Games, but you're probably already aware of how contentious they are. The best compliment I can give them is that they're still really fun platformers with good controls and fair challenges. But when holding them to the high bar the 3D Mario games have set, then they really fall flat. As someone who's played them all recently back to back, I can safely say that you really only need to play one to get them. The original New Super Mario game came out in 2006, and before that was Yoshi's Island in 1995. But if you only want to include games where you control Mario, then Super Mario World in 1991, 15 years before the first New Super Mario Bros. Game, which was 17 years ago if we're measuring the last solely original 2D Mario game. With all that time and waiting put into perspective, there was a real concern on whether Super Mario Bros. Wonder would at long last fill the void that was left behind. For some, since Super Mario World over 30 fucking years ago. So, the question stands, does Super Mario Bros. Wonder deliver? Holy shit, yes, it fucking delivers. My god. Playing Mario Wonder is like finally getting the same level of love and polish of the 3D Mario games that the past 2D games hadn't received in the last 3 decades. I mean, you've probably already seen it, but the animations, posing, keyframes are all so much snappier, responsive, and stimulating than the drab stock look from before. It's all the small touches that make all the difference, like how all the enemies are actively aware of Mario when you're near them. The way they look at you, look at the Koopas. Love it. The only personality the new games had was the stupid fucking dancing the enemies did to the music, but here in Wonder, fuck, there's so much more life given to the enemies, the player characters, the environment, and even the music. Like seriously, the music is much more involved, actively changing to player input. You can hear how extra percussion is added when you start running compared to at a standstill. The levels are so much fun to play through, you guys. It honestly feels like 3 decades worth of new ideas are constantly being thrown at you. Every freaking level has some kind of new enemy, obstacle. There are so many different ways to just play this game. Sure, you have your handful of power-ups, which are all fantastic. I'm actually impressed how much the elephant power-up doesn't feel compromised by the large size of it, when originally I thought you'd move so much slower and it'd be quite cumbersome to use, when that's not the case. But you also have all these new badges, which at first I was worried about because I hate the idea of collectibles being strictly limited by upgrades like this, but no. All these badges are for is simply spicing up the gameplay and to inject further possibilities and styles of play. I'd like to say that you can totally ignore them for most levels if you still want to get all the Wonder Seeds and purple coins, as the levels themselves already contain what you need to get all the collectibles. The only time they're really required is for the badge-specific challenges. You can only have one badge at a time, but if you die or restart, switching a badge is so quick and snappy. It's also so cool how at first, people were disappointed how all the playable characters would control the same, when in fact the usual character abilities were converted to badges instead. So you can still have Luigi with a higher flutter jump if you want, except now the combination of characters and abilities is through the roof, so nearly every playstyle is so expertly accounted for. Speaking of controls, can I just say it's so nice to have a new Mario game that controls slightly different? Like, don't get me wrong, I think the new Super Mario Bros. Games control pretty well, but even I gotta admit, it's rather heavy, like they were trying to mimic Super Mario Bros. 1's controls. And having every single damn game control the exact same only added to the monotonous nature of those games. It's the main reason I couldn't really get into Mario Maker, because every aesthetic has the exact same controls based on New Super Mario Bros. Like, I'm sorry, but it's hard for me to play what looks like Mario World, but have it feel so much heavier than what Mario World actually played like. Not to say Mario Wonder is that hugely improved, it's actually still quite similar, but Mario and company come to a stop much sooner, which helps the controls not feel as heavy, and the massively improved animations and poses go a very long way. I've been hearing some complaints that this game is too easy, but I really don't think that's very accurate since I've died quite a number of times during my playthrough. Extra lives may be easy to get, but come on, it's Mario. Getting extra lives was never that difficult to begin with. No, I think what it is how you finally respawn in the level without going back to the world map. Thank fucking god. So the time between retries is massively reduced, which may give an illusion of easier difficulty when I don't think that's the case. It'd be like calling Celeste easy just because you respawn instantly when it's actually the hardest fucking game I've ever played. And even this game becomes Celeste at points. The world map itself is so much more dense and full of content compared to the world maps from before. I mean, New Mario U was slightly praised for having a continuous map like Mario World when it really meant fuck all in the end. But in Mario Wonder, man, I swear I spent an hour alone in the sun-baked desert map because there's a smorgasbord of secrets and extra levels. I'm so glad they did away with the basic enemy mini-bosses from before, in favor of these break time levels which offer much more variety and fun challenges. And instead, we get these enemy gauntlets, which is one, an awesome nod to OG Mario Bros, but also legitimately challenging to strategize the best and fastest way to bust these baddies in order to get the best time bonus. If you think the levels themselves already inject too many ideas at once, the fucking Wonder Flowers, man. It's like the guys just couldn't stop pumping out new ideas and they couldn't think of a way to integrate them in the game, so they created the Wonder Flower, which causes the game to go apeshit. The Wonder Seeds are like the Power Stars from before and are needed to progress, but you shouldn't have a problem getting them as they're so prevalent. There are also these other talking flowers that are all throughout the game. It's funny to me that the discourse over dialogue in 2D Mario is still going, ever since the Mario Advanced games. Many people do find it genuinely annoying, which I won't agree with, but I will respect. Luckily in Wonder you can turn them off, but man, I don't know. I've grown to really like these little bastards. It would be one thing if they were only naively nice all the time, but no, little shit's got some attitude on them.
Are they after me? Nah, it's gotta be you.
If there is one voice topic that's a little more sensitive to some than others, it's Mario's and Luigi's and even Daisy's new voices. Look, I'll just say that my first ever vivid gaming experience was this.
It's me, Mario!
That right there was my first step into the expansive world of video games that would change my life forever. Mario has been a large part of that life, and throughout the whole time, Charles Martinet was the sole voice of Mario and Luigi, and many more like Toadsworth and the Piantas. There was always a weird comfort that every new Mario game I would play, no matter how different it looked, would have Charles continue to provide the jolly performance of Mario that I know and love. But that's come to an end now. It's a bridge every famous cartoon character has to go through at some point or another. I'm sure it was the same way when Bugs Bunny, Mickey Mouse, and Goofy all got new voices for the first time. But so long as Charles is happy and content with this change, then so will I. After all, Charles will remain as Mario in spirit. It's still his voice, his performance that remains as Mario. Just like how people still say that Mel Blanc is the voice of Bugs Bunny, or that Walt Disney is the voice of Mickey Mouse. Charles will always be the voice of Mario. Someone else may be performing it now, but it's still his voice. For the untrained ear, I reckon most people won't even tell the difference. For those who do, yeah, it's a little weird. After all, it's the first time we've had a different voice for Mario in the games, like, ever. No, the CDI games don't count. But all considering, the new guy, Kevin Afghani, does a good job, and I'm sure he'll only get better as time goes on. I'll always prefer and miss Charles, I can't deny that, but Mario is still Mario. The boss fights, the music would probably be the only real average part of the game for me. Yes, it's really cool how dynamic it is to player input, but unfortunately it still doesn't quite radiate the same level of energy the 3D games have. Look, I'm just glad we don't have to hear the fucking new Super Mario Bros. Music again. Christ. That about covers all I wanted to say about Mario Wonder. I've been a massive fan of Mario all my life, and it's always such a treat to have another one continue to offer new and unique experiences. Fingers crossed we don't have to wait another decade for the next one. But hey, these games are usually so good that it's worth the wait. I've had my fun with the new Super Mario games, but Mario Wonder sits right up there with Mario 3 and Mario World to me. If there was a Super Mario Bros. 5, then this is it. I can't tell you guys how difficult it was to put this game down. It's really quite fascinating because you can read how most of the original Super Mario Bros. Development staff are still heavily involved with Mario Wonder. Nintendo Japan has a good track record of long-term employment staff. These guys just have the gift of knowing what makes games fun. And if there's one word to describe Super Mario Bros. Wonder, it's fucking fun. That's all I have for you today, so I'ma just say thank you for watching.